Okay.
Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United
United States of America
and
and
to the
to the
republic
republic
for which
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Trish.
Mrs. Brew,
Here.
Mr. Kramer,
Here.
Mr. Menegini,
Here.
Mr. Marraro,
Here.
Mr. Pop.
We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or changes, Ray?
No additions or changes.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I will make that motion.
Second.
Move on to the approval of the minutes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop. I'm not hearing Scott.
I don't hear him either.
He's digitizing pretty bad. His bandwidth must be not great.
I can barely hear. Maybe if he does a thumbs up.
Yeah. Now he's not even there. Okay. And Mrs. Brew,
Yes. Do we got Scott on there?
There he is.
barely, but yeah, that'll work. Go like this or this.
We can hear you, Scott, but not very good. Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of April 20th, 2020. Do we have any questions on the minutes? If not, I would need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of April 20th, 2020.
Support.
Who supported that?
Kramer.
Okay.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop, Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Can you guys see Scott?
Yes,
Just
I
can't hear
can.
him?
I can see him and I can hear him a little, but he also is doing the thumbs up or thumbs down.
Okay. Because I don't see him on mine, so. We'll move on to the approval.
My internet.
Oh, there
No,
you go.
That's
can hear
better.
you. We'll move on to the approval of the manifest 2020-09. Scott, do you have any questions?
Oh, no, he doesn't.
Brett?
More of just a comment that in the first 3 months, or in the month, the first month, second month, and third month, we purchased about 60,000 in power, but our sales were about 119,000, which is good. That's it.
Jeff?
I do, Madam Mayor. Page 1. Computer expense, WPPI Energy, there's 3 line items. Monthly support and maintenance, 1,119.25, 1,013.32, and 1,113.32. Is that a monthly charge we have from computer maintenance from WPPI?
That is a monthly charge. Those are 3 months that we're purchasing there, or that we have support.
So that's for 3 months.
That's for 3 months, yeah. 12, 1, and 2. December, January, February.
And they support the software at the dam,
No, and that's the North Star billing software.
the billing software. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Lee?
Moving on. Oh, no, Candy,
Stop.
I'm not done yet.
All right,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Ray, we've got page 3. We had it looks like to me we had CCI Systems on to do a CATV maintenance sweep,
Yes,
42,768.
yes.
Was that for the entire? Is that a final billing the entire system?
That's the final billing. It's the entire system, yeah.
Was it bid?
That was not bid.
Okay. Is there? Can I just ask if was there a reason why it wasn't bid?
Not quite sure who else out there that does this type of work, and we work
I
closely
understand.
with CCI on these activities, so.
It'd be nice to keep them honest, just to see. I got a couple contacts for you. I know a couple
Okay.
guys out of the Green Bay in the Valley that do it, that I'm sure would come up for 50 grand, or less. So just an idea. Just once in a while, hey, I'm a CCI Systems fan too. I'm just saying it'd be nice to keep them honest.
That's fine. That'd be great if I could get those contacts from you. That would
Sure.
be
No
wonderful.
problem. Page 4 of 6, back to Brett's point earlier, purchase power. So I'm assuming at this point we're way above, we're selling more than we're purchasing.
That's correct.
Okay. So just for my newness, do we always have to purchase power during certain times of every month, even though we're selling more off? Is that how it works?
We have an automatic switch that when we buy and sell depending on the load. So if we're overproducing, we automatically sell, and if we're buying
Okay.
underproducing, then we automatically buy.
Great. But at the end of the day, we're definitely netting positive right now.
We are absolutely, and we actually have a credit at this point.
Great. And I am good. Thank you.
Lee?
Just a comment. Again, reiterating what Scott was talking about and Mr. Marraro. I've been around here for 10.5 years and I've never seen these figures so good as far as power purchased and selling. Never have I seen anything that good. That's all.
Okay, I guess I have a couple questions. And mine goes back to Jeff's first one there with the WPPI 1 of 6. I don't remember them billing us 3 months at a time. Is that something different?
Yeah, normally we don't. I don't know where the billing went, but if we didn't get the billing in, they might have all come in for this particular manifest.
Okay. And then on 3 of 6 under the safety, are we still doing safety training being we're charged for it, or is this backdated?
We had some training earlier in the year, and then we do still have 2 different programs. We have the JTNS, which is that's actually on hold because that's the one where everybody gets together at different locations for electric specific. And then this one is for the actual safety program. That's Mr. Martin, who is our representative, who's our safety representative, and we pay that on a quarterly basis. And he's still working with us. He shows up, and I'm still working with him. So he's
So
still working.
he's been in that doing
Yeah.
training?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, yeah, and I was wondering too, I don't know if it's just me, but it shows our surplus power, which I get, we got the credit there. And then I don't remember it saying, when we had to buy the power. I don't know if Mary did that different this time. Then they, on 4 of 6 is the purchase power. For,
No.
Candy, what we did this month, the reason there's 3 on there, and you'll see that, with the purchase power, the surplus power sales, January, we had a credit, and it kept just carrying forward, February, March. At the end of March, we still had a credit of like $56,000. And
Mhm.
normally what I've done is I've held them off until we actually have a check to write to them. But because it looks like April, maybe even possibly May, maybe even into June, we're not going to have that check to write. We're always going to have a credit. So instead of waiting till we actually had a check to write to them, I just put them on the computer, and I've just got them on hold on the computer. That's why there's 3 months.
Okay, because I knew that looked different. And then you must have did the same thing with the meter data management. That was for 3 months.
Yeah, because they bill us for all of that stuff on our monthly power bill.
So just another comment to it. April was a very good month. That's another credit. And May is looking, our flows have increased, our power, the differential is less, but it does look we're still producing and selling. So we've had a real nice runoff this year.
Mhm.
Ray, just to clear things up a little bit, I know it sounds bad, but what's the price that we sell it for, and then what we have to buy it for? I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, it's a roughly about a nickel on when we sell it, and our purchase is up around $14.
Okay,
And that's the agreement we had with WPPI, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty standard agreement that that's when you get grid mark pricing when you have to buy it, and so selling it back, that's part of our 40-year agreement. We had the same thing with We Energies when we had the same agreement with them.
So Ray, you said $14, but I'm assuming it was 14 cents.
14 cents. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right, 14 cents. We buy at 14, we sell at 5.
We sell it back at 5. I think it's roughly 5. I'll get you the exact numbers, but it's roughly that kind of difference. So.
Wow, would I like to renegotiate that contract?
Yeah, the thing is that this is all part of that MISO agreement. That's why when we have distributed generation, somebody puts in solar panels and whatnot, we end up with they end up with the same type of condition. They expect to get retail pricing. It's not retail pricing, it's wholesale pricing.
Ray, do we expect as things go bigger percentage of, are we locked into this, or as green becomes more important over the decades, do we expect to get a better return on our green, since we're generating green energy versus picking up,
Yeah, we pick up those off of the credits, and then we resell those credits. So we negotiate, as part of our negotiation, we ensured that we would have those for the city, as opposed to them going back into WPPI's total. So
okay, so the carbon, yeah, so that we are, you can add the carbon credits on top of that, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, thank you.
Exactly.
All right, if there's no more questions, I would need a motion on the manifest 2020-09.
I'll make a motion that we approve manifest dated May 4th, 2020 for the total of $596,568.25.
Support.
Mr. Moraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes,
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Meneke.
Yes.
anyone wishing to address the council on an agenda item shall do so now by using the question and answer feature or raise your hand feature in Zoom. Telephone only attendees will be unmuted and given an opportunity to make their comments. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person.
I've got 3 attendees, and I'm muting them right now. If they have any questions, they can talk. I don't see any questions coming in.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to appointments and presentations. We have none, and then we'll move on to communications. Approval, Sturgeon Falls Hydro FERC compliance, water quality monitoring. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We had this item, remember I pulled this from the agenda last week. We had to double check on our equipment, the loggers. Those are, per our license, every 5 years, we're required to perform water quality testing, monitoring, basically oxygen levels and take readings out of the river. And we do those based with logging equipment, probes, and that collect that data. And 5 years ago, we had to purchase new loggers because the old loggers that we had failed. And it actually was a situation where the Conservation District had to come back in the following year. We had to get approval from FERC to delay it a year because you start up here in May and then you run till July collecting that data. And if you start late, you can't just start in the middle of the summer. You need to start like right about now. And so when those loggers failed last in five years ago in 2015, we had poor data. So in this year's and what I did with the report and with the request is that again, we have the County Conservation District. For their price to do this is $6,500, and I did throw in the possibility of purchasing one replacement logger in case one goes out. But we tested the loggers and the batteries and everything were working. So the replacement logger would be a backup. You know, if we had one logger go down, there's 3 total that we use. If one would go down, then we could quickly replace it and not jeopardize having to go into the following year, which would be a remobilization issue for us. So our request is to move forward with the Conservation District for $6,500, and then if the council so agreed, then to allow us to purchase the additional logger for $1,250 for $1,250.
So the additional logger is going to be a backup?
It's a backup, yeah. And we probably use one of the old ones for the backup and use the new logger in the system for the testing. I mean, we could go with the 3 loggers we have, but if one fails midway through the test, then we could end up with the same way we did 5 years ago.
Yeah, I understand. $250 is not a problem.
Yeah.
I'd just like to make a larger comment in general. I know we're looking at the 16th Avenue project, which is basically Norway Hill. And I know you're asking for a much bigger match than the 20% so we can lock in funding. I read that you said 54% was the average last year to get approved funding. I'd just like to ask the council that we start looking hard at places where we can save some money in this year's budget, maybe next year's budget, because we know that 90,000 is going to probably turn into about 220,000 if we want to get approval for that project. And I think that project is a big deal in the town, you know, with the folks. I mean, Norway Hill's in rough shape, as Candy knows. She drives it every day.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's a different topic, but as far as the percentage, there were quite a few projects that went forward at 26%. And so I was recommending 30%, and that would bring that local match up to 145. So I don't think I would recommend going more than that at this point.
And we can
go ahead, Kenny.
Jeff, not to interrupt you or whoever else. Can we come back to this in council comments so we can get through the?
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
All right, thank you.
Okay, speaking of comments, I got a couple comments and questions here. On the monitoring methods there, they say that the desired sample will consist of 10 resident predator fish of one species, walleye or northern pike, and 10 bottom feeders, blah, 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 and they go on and on and on. And if 10 legal size can't be caught, they can use smaller ones. So the bottom line to this is we're paying them to go fishing, right?
Well, this is the testing of water quality.
I know.
Do we at least get the fillets or no?
And the other thing here I have is, okay, under sediment monitoring, what if they find something wrong? You know, like what are they testing for here? PCBs and all kinds of good stuff.
Right.
Mercury, oil and grease, cadmium, copper, selenium, whatever that is. So what happens if they find something?
Well, hopefully they don't. There's going to have to be an investigation as to where it's coming from. And, you know, our job, our responsibility as a permit holder is to take these tests. After that, I guess that's the question for the Eagle, you know, as to, you know, who's going to follow up on that. I don't believe that we're responsible to carry the investigation of who's causing that. It would be probably upstream. So.
Well, I just, you know, if something's wrong and they find something, I go upstream and drop a 55-gallon drum of oil in the river. And all of a sudden down below the dam, I mean, how could that possibly be our fault? I don't think we should even have to do it. I know it's part of the FERC licensing,
yeah.
But I don't think we should have to do this.
Yeah, I don't believe that is part of the requirement, that it would be our fault that there's PCBs or any other type of contaminants. I think that what they're going to do is take our information and then carry an investigation.
Okay, that's all I have.
If there's no other comments or questions, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve the Sturgeon Falls Hydro FERC compliance water quality monitoring through the Dickinson County Conservation District and the replacement data logger for a total of $7,750.
Do I have a support? Well, I will support it just because we don't really have a choice. We have to do this through FERC. I wish we didn't have to do it, but we do.
Can we do it without getting the replacement data logger?
Yes, we can.
Since it's only once every 5 years, I'd like to take a chance on that.
Ray, how difficult is to get a replacement logger in if something were to happen? And
I think they said it's about 3 to 4 weeks.
Well,
and that screws up our whole
Good.
reporting then. If we have a
Good,
bad
depending
logger.
on the timing of if it goes.
Yeah,
What was the price of the logger again?
$1,250.
1,250.
Yes. Ray, I'm assuming when we had bad data, this cost us more.
Yeah, they have
to
to.
Try to fix everything. Is that what happened?
They'll have to remobilize and start the test again. So whatever.
Under $6,500 basically.
They won't charge us if they don't use the full 6,500 this year. If something happened, they would just charge us of the cost to that point. But then next year it would be $6,500. Come back in because they got to start the test over.
We do have a motion on the floor, so.
Okay. So I'm gonna do roll. I have Mr. Pop,
no.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Creamer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to the approval of Sturgeon Falls Hydro FERC compliance invasive species monitoring.
Hey, this is under, same license, and this is the year that we need to perform the invasive species monitoring, and the price for that is $5,000.
Do I have any questions?
I got a question here. How long ago did we go with those weevils, Ray? And how did that wind up? I thought for a while they were doing pretty good.
Yeah, they are. In fact, they still, the last monitoring that we did actually came out and it was still working. So that was a pretty good investment on our part.
Are these tests done at the same time?
No, this particular test won't happen until July. This one can't happen until you get full bloom.
It's still in the same timeline between May and September as the rest of them, though, correct?
Yeah, I would be done before September.
Okay.
In fact, this would roll into next year's budget.
Do I have any other comments? If not, do I have a motion?
Begrudgingly, I motion that we approve the FERC compliance invasive species monitoring for a total of $5,000.
Support.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Moraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop.
Yes.
Who seconded that?
I got Pop.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to approval Sturgeon Falls Hydro Substation testing maintenance on transformers, breakers, relays, and battery set.
We have the FERC compliance. We can move on this one too as well. It doesn't matter. We still have we have item 9, which is Sturgeon Falls Hydro FERC compliance assistance.
I'll go back up to that.
Okay.
Approval of Sturgeon Falls Hydro FERC license compliance.
So every year we go through. We've had Mead and Hunt handle our engineering support. Even earlier than the 2000 into the 1990s. They helped us with the actual permit, compliance permit requirements. And through each year, they've given us pricing for engineering support, compliance support. This particular year, council has asked that I review and look for alternatives, basically to see if there's anybody else that could handle this. And GEI did provide me a comparative quote. And so you have 2 prices in front of you for handling this effort. Mead and Hunt does have a lower price at $23,500.
Do we have any questions or comments? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve that Mead and Hunt be approved to provide technical assistance to submit license compliance documents to FERC for a rate not to exceed $23,500, only because we have to.
Support.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Moraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew.
Yes.
Now, Ray, on that one, is there anything with that price difference? Is there something that we're missing out of Mead and Hunt that's different with the GEI consultants?
No, that was the same exact requirements for this year. I gave them to both.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, now we'll move on to the Sturgeon Falls Hydro Substation testing and maintenance on transformers, breakers, relays, and battery set.
Okay, so at our last meeting, council approved Energis move forward with testing and repairs on that for that nitrogen leak. And just to follow up Mr. Mangini's question from the last meeting, nitrogen, it is an inert gas, and what it's used for is to keep a pressure within the within that transformer, so that you don't have moisture buildup. So it's like air leaking out of your tire, that if that nitrogen leaks, there's no environmental impact, no safety impact, but it is detrimental to the equipment. Okay, so that was that issue. On this one, we were putting together the contract, and the folks from Energis said, hey, yeah, we'll just do this when we're talking about schedule. They said, well, we'll do this when we do this other work. And we're like, what other work? So we went back in and we found that last year at this time, they had provided a proposal to perform this maintenance work, testing and maintenance work. And this is part of regular maintenance, but it's also, there were some safety issues that we experienced the past year and a half, where we needed to have some testing done as well. So we resurrected that proposal from them. They confirmed that the proposal is still good. And I thought I'd bring this out to council for approval and then get it all onto one contract. So they would do both work at the same time. So if this is approved, their plan would be to come in during the week of the 18th of May. So the second proposal, or for the proposal for this particular job, is $6,244. That would leave that single contract to $7,783.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Is this mandatory?
Well, it's for maintenance and safety. From an operations perspective, I think we cannot do it, but
we have precedence. We do this quite a bit.
We have done testing on a regular basis. Energis has been in our plant a number of times performing this work for us, yes, in the past.
And it is budgeted.
It is budgeted.
Thanks.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion that Energis be approved to perform the hydro substation maintenance and testing of transformers, breakers, relays, and battery set for a price not to exceed $6,244. The total for both proposals under single contract will be $7,783. Grudgingly.
Support.
Mr. Meneghin,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
We'll move on to the approval electric department distribution system improvement equipment material purchase.
Okay, this particular item, I've been working with Mr. Hagee on this for about 3 weeks now, and we're working on this through our budget proposal, which is coming up here this month. In last year's budget, we had allocated $150,000 for this year and also for next year, for a total of $300,000 to start work on the District 5 Kearney Lane rebuild. And we were looking at the projects, and he broke out 3 different projects with District 5. He calls it a phase 1, which is starting at the upper north end of District 5 Road and actually working back towards town. There's some work that he's looking at from a reliability and improvement standpoint on Forest Drive, Viking Lane, that we need to address. And then there's some work, small amount of work on Kimberly Road that I felt like it needed to be addressed. And this request, this is all work that we're proposing in-house, and it's not something that we are proposing to do all in one calendar year. If we could, if we can keep on it, we'll keep at it. But the request is to buy the equipment, transformers, and other equipment, and some of them have long lead time items, six plus weeks. So we broke down that material quote for all three projects, and it comes out to $90,340.43. Not all of it's going to be purchased all at once, and we do have some equipment in stock. So we want to we can start work as soon as we're able to here with some of the equipment we have in inventory, but we definitely need to replace that inventory, and we also have equipment that's not in inventory. So it's well within the budget for this year, and it's actually going to help in budgets for out years by moving forward with the approval to start purchasing some of this equipment. I basically wanted to bring this to council for your awareness of our capital. I know we've delayed a lot of this work because of all of the work at the hydro. We are again keeping an eye on what could happen down there, but we do need to address some areas in our system that needed to be addressed. In fact, these were identified in the very first master plan that was done by Mr. Krause in 2006 and again in 2011. And so you can see, we were planning on starting to address this in 2007, and that's when we had our first major issue with the hydro. So a lot of this work has been delayed for over a decade. So we'd like to get council blessing to start moving forward on these projects.
Just in my opinion, I think you take one project at a time, especially the situation that we're in. I think you do that and, get some of it completed. I don't see that we should be ordering for 3 different projects. I can't see 3 different projects getting done anytime soon, which Mr. Anderson said. And I like to see where you're going to store all of this, especially when over by the cold storage unit, you got boats and motors and the power skids over there out for anybody to take and steal. To me, I don't have a problem moving on, but to me, one project at a time. You don't buy it all at one time.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, as always, are we having outages? Is there issues?
We have voltage drops in these areas, and that's where it's not an outage, but it's a voltage drop. So we've had some issues, and we wouldn't be running all 3 projects at the same time. It gives us flexibility as we're moving equipment in and out and looking at long lead time items that we can at least start purchasing. But we can do it one at a time, but there could be delays that way too. So
in my opinion, I would like to see one at a time, and I want it to see it completed.
As you're,
sorry, go ahead.
Again, part of my responsibility, is not only the whole city, but also to watch the operations. And from an operations perspective, when you take these multiple projects, and I've done it in many different areas, you do plan these. You don't plan these all together. You do stretch them out. So, we're not going to get stretched out, or we're not going to get jammed where we're mobilizing from one to another without finishing one or the other. So that's just my.
How long did the WPA road stretch there? How long did that take? That project?
Yeah, that was a tough one. We kept getting pulled off of that one, and we're cognizant of that issue.
Say that's 4 years. If I was guessing.
And so comparing the WPA road, Ray, to some of these other ones, a timeline, if things continue, I mean, is it looking pretty close to the same if we broke it up in 3 different jobs instead of all at once?
Well, I don't anticipate that it'll take us 4 years to go through this. But again, it depends on if we get pulled off for some reason. I think the hydro had some issues, pulling our guys off of that.
Yeah.
And there's some other issues. But if you wanted to do one at a time, I mean, we could do that and
Offhand, do you know which one would be the priority?
um,
What do you think Mr. Hagee would think would be the priority?
yeah, I think, Mr. Hagee would know he has his priority in his explanation, or he has that in mind. We've always talked about District 5 Road as one of our more critical areas, but we do have some problems on these other 2. I would say District 5 and then Forest Drive. There might be, we actually had to do some work in Vulcan, and we had to do some work initially on WPA before we actually did a rebuild. And that might be a case here, like if we started on District 5 and started moving back, we might go out to Forest Drive and just do something, for immediate issue that he's concerned about, just to shore it up.
Yeah,
Madam
Vulcan's
Mayor.
I'm for doing one of them. I'm for starting the project, but I would like to see us, get one done and then order for the next instead of trying to store things for that long, because we don't know. It could something else could come up, or it could take 3 years where we could have put it in a different budget. This is all work that has to get done. There's no doubt about it. We do have issues throughout our power grid, but I would just like to see, one at a time.
So that would be our plan. That's actually our plan, but
is there advantage to ordering everything at once? I mean, do you get a bulk
no,
deal,
we wouldn't order.
or-
We wouldn't order everything at once. We would order it as we see it. We'd look at those long lead time items. Those are the things that we have to plan, in advance. But, we wouldn't want to have everything all sitting there all at once and then start the work. I mean, we're gonna, order our equipment, in space based on the project. I think the reason I brought this to you this way is to give flexibility on, ordering maybe for one project has a long lead item, but maybe it's the phase 2 project. But because of that long lead item, we wanted to get it ordered.
Yeah.
We've never had a problem like that before, have we, Rick?
Yeah, we have. With lead items, we have. I mean, you have to plan for it.
Again, when I was on the council, because I don't remember that, but I agree these projects have to be done. There's no doubt about it. But I also agree we got to see what's going on with everything else. I'd like to start a project. I'm not saying it has to be completely done. I like to know where the guys are at in the project, and if we get good reply back from where they're at in that, then we can go on and order more things. I'm not saying the project has to be completed. I just would like to see it getting done, and we're getting towards the end of it. And if we need for the next project, we order it then, not now. Anybody else have questions or comments?
I agree with that, Candy. I'd like to see us just order per project, and as we continue going, then add to it.
I would agree. I think to Scott's earlier point, if there's an economy of scale here in a buying aspect that we can save money with a quantity buy, terrific. We can definitely discuss that. Short of that, if this thing's going to get stretched over 2 or 3 years, even though it's, again, just because it's budgeted doesn't mean we have to spend it this year. We can always rebudget it for next year.
I can't hear Lee. I can see he's talking.
Oh,
Oh, are you all right? You're good now.
oh, okay. I'll say I didn't touch anything here. I can see everybody's point. Me, I'm for full speed ahead, but I can understand the rest of you where you're going. And again, this like from 2006. I mean, this was recommended to be done. And anyway, in all this, just have a few comments slash questions. Like District 5 road, I believe that's the most important one.
That's the one.
And some of this will be underground where they can, Ray?
Where we can.
Yeah, okay. And then I go over here and I look at this Kimberly Road rebuild. And they don't have, I mean, I don't want to second guess anybody here, but why is that not going to be underground? And they also need 3-phase. What would they need 3-phase out there for? I mean, I'm not an electrician by any means, but I just don't understand that.
There's we're keeping an eye on that because we're required to find us an alternate well site. And
Oh, okay.
that one area that we looked at is out in that direction.
Okay, that's very understandable. Okay. And then on I got a comment on the school Forest Drive and Viking Lane rebuild. Says here, and I know this is for a fact, we have had many problems with trees falling, causing damage to the line and homeowners' equipment. The poles in this area are very poor and very inaccessible. They should not be inaccessible, but that goes back many years before, I guess, we had the proper zoning where if they went through there with a truck, they do a lot of damage. That should be underground. That's all I have.
Yeah, and we're gonna have a that one we're gonna have to really prepare for, because we're gonna need to send notices out to the residents that in order for us to do that project, we're gonna need access through that utility easement.
That's right.
And, you know, we were planning a year ahead of time, like this year, sending those notices out and saying, look at next year, possibly a year and a half from now, we're gonna be back there. And if you've got fences, if you've got sheds, those are things that you can start planning now. But when we go in there, they're coming down. I mean, we have to get the work done.
And we have what, a 20-foot right of way back there, or 15?
It's typically about 15 to 20 feet. Yeah, 20 foot, 10 feet on each side of the line.
Right.
I just don't see the point of you're talking a year and a half out ordering it at this point. That's just my opinion. Do I have a motion?
Well, is District 5 road the priority?
Yeah, I would recommend that we concentrate on District 5 road.
Then I would motion that we approve District 5 road phase 1 for $37,392.50 in materials. And we would table until at least, you know, we can get a better idea, to Candy's point, Brett's point.
Right. We
Scott's
wouldn't
point.
table it because we'd have to set a date. We'll just have to, Ray will have to bring it back in a
Okay.
I'll bring it back through budget. I'll bring it up during budget.
Well, then I would
Hey, Ray,
Yes.
would you want to contact, all right. I'm back. Okay, I'm back. Would you want to contact Mr. Hagee on that and see what he would recommend, or do you know for sure that's the one that he would go for?
I know for sure that
Okay.
District 5 because Kimberly Road or Forest Drive that's like I said, there's a little bit of work that he could do now, like by the school. There's a transformer by the school that we wanted to work on now, but most of that work we got to give him a year, you know, to.
We got to have some type of notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kimberly Road's in the same boat. I mean, we don't have to get on that right this second. Scott and I talked about that in some detail. So District 5, if you look at remember last year's budget, I mean, we laid that out the next couple of years. So that was our priority.
Now, Jeff, you made the motion for District 5 road?
Correct.
Okay, I support.
Roll call, Trish? Did you put the amount in that,
I did.
Jeff? Thank you.
Mr. Marraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini.
Yes.
We'll
One
run-
more thing before we go on to the next item, excuse me, Mrs. Mayor. What we gotta be sure, what we don't do is, again, Candy, you're right, where we gotta get that phase done. I mean, done. Not like in other projects that the city has started, there's too many things hanging out there right now. I mean, not electrical department, but in these other departments, there's things just hanging out where nothing is complete. Yet you've got 3 or 4 projects going, but nothing's complete.
We got a lot of pots in the fire.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to resolution 2020-05. Contract between the city of Norway and the Michigan Department of Transportation.
Okay, this particular project is through the federal aid program. There's actually, it's unusual, but we have no local cost associated with this section of the project. It's going to start on, it's on 16th Avenue, starting at 15th Avenue, heading east for approximately 0.61 miles. And it's part of the program that council approved, the attached resolution for accepting the contract and also naming signatory. And it's also been standard that, or I'm recommending that my name be put in that for signing the contract, simply because as these projects move forward with MDOT, when it comes to the project type work, it's simple for me to be executing the agreements and working as a project basis. So but that's up to council. If they would like the mayor to do that, we can put that, we can change that.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I do. Both questions and comment. Where exactly will that funding be coming from, Ray?
Okay, that's under, it's a federal funding. Well, actually, there's portion of it's federal funding and
Yeah,
portion
okay,
is
I
state.
realize that, but federal funding, is that like from the gas tax?
That's the transportation, that's their transportation bill that they pass. So there's a number of different funding sources. Gas tax is one of them.
Okay, well, I mean, nobody's driving anymore, so I can't see how much they're gonna
Well,
get out of that.
They're committed to our project for this year. For
Oh,
this
okay,
funding and
okay.
for this. Now, remember that project is going to start in the field the spring of next year. Because by the time we get through all of the paperwork, the bidding, and, there's a bid letting that'll happen midsummer. It's a possibility we could start the project late summer, early fall, but then you're talking paving in October. So
Yeah, we don't want to do
I'm
that.
recommending that we go right to, just start the project in May of next year and get it done that way.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that resolution 2020-05 be approved.
Support.
You want to designate on that motion, Lee, who the authorized person is to sign it?
Okay, can I add Ray be the authorized person to sign it?
Yeah, it's in the resolution. Just pass the resolution.
Okay.
Support.
Call Trish.
Trish, get off of mute. Trish, you're back on mute.
There you go.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini,
Yes.
Mr. Marraro.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on Anyone wishing to address the council on any item of interest shall do so now by using the question and answer feature or raise your hand feature in Zoom. Telephone only attendees will be unmuted and given an opportunity to make their comments. State your name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes.
I have 3 attendees. I have allowed the 3 to talk. They just need to unmute themselves if they do want to ask a question.
At this time, if you want to talk, unmute yourself, please.
I have no questions and no one unmuted themselves.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to mayor council comments. Scott.
Ray, I was just wondering now, going back to everything, looking at, you know, like that one, kind of the reason why I went with one of the projects. Right now with the price of oil, do you have any idea what asphalt is at?
There's the last bid that I saw was still over $60, but it was less than the 95 or 85 that that we seen in some of the estimates from last year.
Okay, I know a thing that worries me is, you know, we're waiting for next year for the federal money for Norway Hill and stuff like that. I'm worried with this COVID stuff going on that next year there's not going to be the funding that municipalities are hoping for and everyone else is hoping for, because they're going to have to be some type of payback for the money that they're handing out now. I would just like to see if we could get some type of price on asphalt. You know, this now, even though we're not generating money right now because people are off, but if we can get a really good deal on asphalt, that might be a consideration to look at it, doing something with that. That's all I got. Oh, also, I did ride behind, you know, City Hall, because I was looking for that dumpster the other day to see where we're at, if that was out or not. That boat that we do have back there, that's something that we could put inside the fence or all that stuff, so that, because there's no lock on that trailer, so anybody could just pull up and take off with that. I mean, that's a pretty nice motor on the boat itself. I don't know, but the motor is pretty nice. I'd like to see that locked up. And that's what all I got.
Brett.
We do have 100,000 budgeted for asphalt layover this year, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, do we know where we want to put that, or do we have any quotes on where we're going to put that?
We have quotes, and I was going to put it through with the budget hearing, see where we wanted to move forward.
Okay, I have no more questions. Thank you.
Jeff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just want to go back to my earlier point. I think now's the time we want to start thinking about 16th Avenue a little bit. That project, Ray, it sounds like we're looking for another 45,000 for matching funds above the 90 if you're going from 20% to 30%, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So again, just ask my fellow council members to maybe start looking at places we can trim a little bit to come up with that 45,000, so we don't have to, you know, grab it from the electrical fund or somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee.
Yes, first I'd like to thank Ray for answering my questions from last week and the other questions. But one thing, in the memorandum there, you said there's some of these big trees, these pine trees are a problem. Why don't we just go get them down, the ones that can fall over the lines? And this is the last time I'm going to say this. Talk about the compost site. Unbelievable out there. I was out there, I think it was last Friday or Thursday, and here this truck pulls in with a big trailer with 4-foot logs on it with Wisconsin license plates. So I snuck down there with my camera and took a picture of his license plate while it didn't come out. But that is getting totally ridiculous out there. And I believe to this day, we got to get cameras out there, or the threat of putting a camera out there. I mean, it's ridiculous. And actually, one of the township trustees was out there too. He saw the same thing. And the only other thing I have, I do believe tomorrow, May 6th, 2 days from now, May 6th is Nurses Day. And I would like to thank all the medical workers right down to the kitchen help. That's all.
All right, I have a few questions and comments. I'll go back to Jeff's comments. I agree with him on the Norway Hill thing, and not because I travel it, just because I'm getting the most complaints on that. The other thing that I want to bring up, and Scott touched on it, I touched on it a little bit, that's really irritating to me, is all that stuff outside that building. You got that boat there with that motor on. You got them power things that we use for when Summerfest was here. We use them for Leif Erikson Day. We couldn't find them all last time, so we had to rebuild new ones this time. They're sitting outside there. Anybody can come over there and pick stuff off of them and take them. The dirty shame, all that stuff has been sitting there, and it's been more than a week because I've been watching it. And I really want that stuff put back in buildings or whatever. It's got to be happening to it, because next time we need them power skids for something or whatever, and they're not there, I'm not going to be happy. What else? And then where are we at with the St. Vincent property up on the hill?
Mary, have you talked with the bank lately?
Not since that last conversation we had with you and Bill and myself and Ann.
At this point, the bank is not, or they're not walking away from it. So from what I remember, the last discussion we had, that it was going to be taken down, right? That they were going to take care of that?
That was the last conversation. I believe it was the son was going to make the arrangements to have it taken down, but that was quite a while ago.
So we might
Get back on that.
Yeah, check back up on that. I want to thank all the health workers and all the members of the community still out there working, the essential workers. Thank you very much. And that's the only comments I have. Mr. Anderson.
I have none.
I got another thing, Candy. Just if I could ask Ray something.
Go ahead.
Ray or Chris, I don't know if either one of you guys can answer this. I'm just heading back to Lee's comments there, or talking about a camera out at the compost site. Don't we have a camera sitting out at Marion Park that we could, transfer over to there for the year? Because it's not looking like there's going to be out at Marion Park anyways this year.
Well, I don't think the infrastructure.
Yeah, we don't have any
handle that.
You got to have internet.
Just taking a camera and moving it.
Right. We got to have We have to have a internet connection there, kid.
Well, there's okay, because we do have something out at Marion Park. We won't be able to just transfer the whole device.
Well, you have to have you'd have to tap into the cable. If we have cable running out there, we'd have to tap into the cable to put the device, to give the device a backhaul, right? So we can get the data back into the system, Scott.
Okay, it's not all satellite.
Okay, I'm going to be bringing proposals for these cameras, to council. Chris has some proposals that he's going to be providing here soon, and we're going to look at them through budget hearing.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Anderson.
I have nothing.
Grant?
Just very briefly, I saw on the executive committee memo that our code enforcement officer, Mr. Borga, has retired or re-retired, I suppose you maybe could say.
Yeah,
I'd like to congratulate him for re-retirement, but nevertheless is no longer with the city and has vacated his position and passed the torch along. I believe we have arranged and put in place, I think, an efficient scenario to make sure that we have compliance with our local ordinances, our rubbish, our yard maintenance. spring is upon us. Weather is here. I can assure you that if your yards aren't being maintained, if there's rubbish and there's garbage, I'm confident that the ordinances are going to be enforced and maintained and followed up on very vigorously. So just as a heads up to the community, make sure that even though we have the COVID, we take great pride in our community, and also to wish Mr. Borgo well in his retirement. Thank you.
I got another comment here, Ray. With our new, what do you want to call it, system of these zoning enforcements, I have a lot of ideas how we can improve it, but we'll discuss that during budget hearing.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Trish or Mary?
No, Ray, were we gonna talk about budget hearing dates?
We need to, yeah, we need to set up dates for budget hearings.
Anybody?
I'm free at any time.
I'm good. Yeah,
Brett?
I'm good.
Brett?
Whenever.
Anytime after 12 will work, Andy, if possible.
We'll definitely work around you. Jeff?
If we can, not Wednesdays, we've got we've got conflicts on Wednesdays, obviously, as you know. At least once a month we do. And then of course it also plays into my men's day golfing, so I'd rather not do them on Wednesday afternoons.
What conference do we have on Wednesday?
DDA.
Oh, I forgot about that. Thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
But that's not this Wednesday.
No, it'll be a week from next Wednesday, right? It's the third, I think it's the
Third
third
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
But is it going to be canceled?
No,
We've been-
we did a Zoom.
We've been zooming.
Yeah. Anything for next week? Or do you guys want to make one this week?
I say get it done as soon as you can.
I think we should start.
How about Thursday this week?
I'm going to start it this week.
This week?
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday?
Thursday works for me. Brett?
Thursday preferably, that'd be fine.
Anybody else okay with Thursday?
No
Yep.
problem here.
1 o'clock?
I have a conference call at 12:30
Okay.
on Thursday. So if we
Can
could
we
do
do-
anything like after 2 or 2:30.
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. If I could, 12 o'clock's kind of right in the middle of the day for me. If we could do it around 2 or 3.
That's fine with me too.
That's with me.
Okay.
I can sneak out of Bordelon at that, little, at least, early mid-afternoon or later is good.
Okay.
So do you guys want to go 2:30?
Sure.
2:30 Thursday. Trish, you're gonna remind us of all us old
Yep.
people, right?
So 2:30 Thursday, you guys wanna set up any more? I can post that one.
No, we'll set up the next meeting then. If that's all right. Because I'm
Yep.
sure we'll go to the next week, so you'll have plenty of time to post it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
A motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Mr. Moraro,
Yes.
Mr. Pop,
Yes.
Mrs. Brew,
Yes?
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Menegini.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.